Scenes at Downing Street were everyone was very passionate. They were attacking the gates, climbing the gates, storming the police. There's a huge passion for Tommy and what's going on just now. What do you think will be the result of it today? Will the police listen? Will the media listen? Will anyone take notice of it today? Although there was so much just absolute passion evinced.
Well, we weren't expecting quite a passionate response. We didn't call for anyone to target the gates of the place, but there clearly is a lot of anger there. People are feeling frustrated. A man who's spoken up for the people has been silenced. The people found their voice taken away, and it's understandable there'll be protests. So we must peacefully keep protesting until they release him, because if it's not him they arrest, there'll be other people soon. They will solely silence all patriots to protect the globalist elite. And I think what they're going to do is keep doing this. I don't think they're going to let him out, sadly. And this is a massive problem. It's the slow decay of our country as we become a police state.
I think it's in the politicians' best interest to pay attention to what the public are doing, don't you? Yeah.
Well, I think it would be wise.
So do you think he'll serve the full 13 months, or?
I don't know if they're going to let him out early or how long exactly he's going away for. We wait to see the actual proper court notes to be sure, and we have to be careful what we say, because there's postponed the reporting on the case, which was rather awkward. But I do fear that they are going to give him a very harsh punishment, because he's previously been given a suspended sentence for reporting outside the court, and he's done it again. And I read the court case for the notes for the first court case, and I do fear there's going to be a very harsh punishment. And whether or not this is technically legally correct, I do believe the law is being used at the moment to silence people with certain political views, and I think that is wrong.
And so where's this censorship coming from? Is it, there's lots of tinfoil hat conspiracy theories. Saudi Arabia are buying us out, they're funding this, that, the next thing.
Well, that's not a tinfoil conspiracy, it's solid fact. We have a lot of money pumped into our country by Wahhabist Saudi groups, which are radical Islam. They're pretty much the same as ISIS. They train most of the imams in our country, the Islamic preachers, who are taught very radical versions of Islam, and that's why we have a surge in crime, a surge in terrorism, because a lot of extremism, Wahhabism, is being pushed in this country, and this is funded by Saudi Arabia, and it's tolerated by our postmodernist liberal government, because they make a lot of money out of oil deals, where they buy a lot of oil from Saudi Arabia, and there's also a lot of arms deals going on. So there's a two-way business deal going on there, and they need to protect that. So that's why they're going to ignore all of these horrific crimes that are going on at the moment.
And what do you see the future of this country? I see it being divided. I think there's going to be a cut-off, a wall, Sharia in one area, rule of law in the other. Do you have a more optimistic future for Britain than I do?
I fear greatly that this country is going to end up as a whole somewhat like what happened in Ulster, where you had two communities divided by religion who didn't get along, and you had violence on the street with people fighting on the street. I fear we're going to end up with we already have ethnic ghettos around London. Trevor Phillips has admitted that. And so basically there's going to end up increasing tension between those. There'll be increasing terror attacks, and I fear there's going to be increasing backlashes against those. And we're going to just end up with tension and bloodshed on the street. It's rather like what a certain politician warned of. There will be rivers of blood. And I just hope that the government will really clamp down on terrorism to stop this, but they won't. And that's why we as patriots must keep speaking up, keep being outspoken on these issues, and force the government to do something. And you need to elect, and at an election, somebody actually stands up for the people, not the Tories, because they are now just lefties, not the Labour Party. None of them are standing up for traditional values. None of them are standing up for the rule of law. None of them care about the people.
But we're a nation of lazy voters, whereas immigrants are like political animals. They know the importance of a vote. So we need to get off the couch, essentially.
Well, to sort of elaborate on what you said, there's MEND, which is a group, the Muslim Engagement and Development Group, which has said that it will get a block vote if people support it. So Labour Party's working with them. They've invited them into Parliament. They've promised them they will get them the block Muslim vote. We've seen a lot of Muslim mayors being appointed around the country. They work as a group to get people in who represent them, whereas the average English person doesn't seem to care much about politics. It's very laid back, don't come together, fight on amongst each other rather than forming any kind of united movement. And we will lose the country if we continue acting in this way. It will become overrun by Wahhabism.
And the last question is, I would just say to you that we are becoming inured to terrorism. You know, if Lee Rugby wasn't bad enough, there's London Bridge, there's Westminster Bridge. It's an everyday occurrence. You know, will there be an uprising? What will be the cut-off point where the ordinary man will say, enough? We've seen so much terror, so much bloodshed. You know, it's becoming an everyday occurrence.
Well, the problem is most people today are so heavily brainwashed by the lefty propaganda through the universities, and the middle class does always dominate the control, the politics, the infrastructure of a country. They're so brainwashed with this, so busy virtue signalling. Even when people are raped, they're not doing anything about it. There was, I think it was in Norway or Sweden, a major politician whose daughter was raped, and they were trying to excuse it. There was a politician that came out in one of those Scandinavian countries saying they had been raped, and they felt sorry for the perpetrator. So basically it looks like absolutely nothing will wake these people up. They're so brainwashed and lost. But I believe there is a silent majority in this country who are starting to feel fed up and is not going to take this any longer, and it's going to unfortunately reach a boiling point, and I hope it doesn't, because it will be terrible bloodshed in the street.
And who are you voting for?
At the moment I support UKIP, but I'm friendly to people for Britain, UKIP, Democrats and veterans, any kind of patriotic movement, and I hope eventually they'll all come together as some kind of coalition.
Okay, thank you so much.